My name is Tonya Curry, and this is this week's Acumen Media Report. It's entitled, We Will Not Be Bullied, Brave Soldiers and Mouthy Men. Sonar 2025. The president told us that white farmers shouldn't worry, the government won't be implementing forced removals of people. He promised us that no one was going to treat white farmers like apartheid treated black people during the time of District 6. He said we need South African solutions for South African problems, and there is no time to be running around skinnering to other world leaders. He made it clear, we will not be bullied.
The people of this country know the pain of forced removal. That is why we will never allow forced removals again in this country. This is not the time for any of us to rush off to foreign lands to lay complaints about issues that we ourselves can solve here in this country. We need South African solutions for South African problems. And I'd like to repeat, we will also not be bullied by anyone in the country or outside.
It's been a crazy week, South Africa. Join me as we scratch the surface of the news you tried to avoid. It began with AfriForum flip-flopping as they realized the enormity of what they'd done by poking the American bear. Apparently, the impimpi at AfriForum is someone called the Yaga. I've never heard of him, yet we are meant to believe that this guy has Trump's ear, not the one that was shot. Agri-SA denied all genocidal claims on white South Africans. However, Solidarity disagreed and welcomed the Trump chaos. Even though America had opened its arms to white South African farmers, not a single farmer has left, nor have they applied for refugee status abroad. So, it seems that things aren't so bad here in South Africa after all. In last night's address, Cupcake told us that he would not be meeting Solidarity or AfriForum and that there would be no further discussion on the consequences for these two civil society organizations. He basically told them to get knotted. Amerikaners. Musk found a tweet from years ago showing Julius singing that dreadful struggle song. The one we had a court case about, you remember, the one we all agreed was so distasteful and actually didn't amount to anything at all.
Alliance shoot to kill Gamaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. Attention.
I knew it was an old tweet because Julius was podgy. He's so skinny now, isn't he? Anyway, I digress. So Musk, the owner of X, Twitter, calls out Julius on the same platform that Juju built his brand on. He said that there should be immediate sanctions on Julius Malema. Julius came out and said, what are they all thinking? That he is not the president, and how can he be sanctioned? Or is it that anyone with a red beret in South Africa would feel the wrath of Elon's hate? Julius said Elon is like most racists, and he can't tell black people apart. That was funny. But who is Elon anyway, to come and crap here in South Africa? He left Moss. We've been here before, dear reader. This story smacks of Bell Pottinger, the company that was tasked to sow division in our nation using the term white monopoly capital. We rose up and closed that revolting PR firm and using our social media voices and our flags. It's time for the nation to rise again. Raise your flag, good South Africans, and show them we cannot be divided. We are an extraordinary nation, and we are always stronger together. As we suspected, the real reason for all this brouhaha is because we took Israel to the ICJ. South Africa, with all its problems, took on Goliath and the stone hit the mark. Lamola, the head of the delegation sent to The Hague, was told this week by the USA to retract the case against Netanyahu and friends or face the consequences. We stood firm. We will not be bullied. So what did we learn? The farmers are actually happy, and the sanctions on South Africa resulted in a pause of PEPFAR funding that has since been lifted until the end of April. So nothing happened actually. Fear and loathing in South Africa. The most important story this week was the return of the bodies of our dead soldiers that died in vain in a war waging on Congolese soil that was not ours to fight. The bodies were moved from Goma to Tanzania to Malawi and then finally home, where they were handed over during a ceremony last night. The SANDF mourned the loss of their brothers, and the nation still struggles to make sense of this loss of life. During the SONA debate, the DRC topped the bill. Gayton, the people's president, came out to say that we should teach Rwanda a lesson. If they started a war, we must finish it.
When you kill a South African, there's consequences. We are sitting with the highest youth unemployment in the world. Let us use this opportunity and call for conscription, Honorable President, and bring our young people and train them. And while we train them, let us go and teach M23 a lesson. Let us go and kill those that killed our soldiers. I don't know, Speaker. These ones are talking a lot here. We need soldiers. You call yourself Commissar, you call yourself CIC, we need you there. There's people that we need you to go fight. We are tired here in Parliament of toy soldiers.
I balked at the screen. What? Are you quite mad, Gayton? Do you have mining interests there too? A war? No, definitely and unequivocally no. The media was so busy that I was spinning like a top. Jacob's daughter, Duduzile Zuma, took to Twitter in a rant that even the Tangerine would have been proud of. She had MK's parties, SG, and ex-EFF Floyd Shivambu in her crosshairs. She used all her F words on Floyd on X. Social media jested that perhaps Floyd had left the toilet seat up. We are not privy to what triggered the manic episode, but Dudzi was told to apologize to Papa Floyd in public. Her response was just as insulting as her original posts. She said that she apologizes to the MK party as an organization, but never once mentioned Shivambu by name. It's not all unicorns and roses in the MK camp. Head of the party, ex-Judge Shlope, and General Bad Guy Jimmy Manye are at each other's throats. That's what happens when you throw a gang of criminals into one place and ask them to share. And talking about political personalities and big moves, finally EFF's Ndlozi, the People's Bay, left the Red Berets and is seeking greener pastures in academia and civil society. He said he'd like to create an AfriForum for black people. What a statement. I like Ndlozi, and it's not just because he's good looking. Then teen suicide is in the spotlight. 7,426 kids tried to kill themselves between April and December of last year. That's outrageous. What are we doing about this? Teens, if you're reading this column, know this. And if you're listening to me, know this. It will pass. I promise you that. Nothing is so big. It will pass. We also learned that 40% of kids do not live with their biological fathers. I thought it would be higher, to be fair. But what are we doing here? Moral compass position vacant. Inquire within. Wrapping up, South Africa is almost impossible in my word constraints. There was a crypto kidnapping, and thankfully, the 9-year-old Iman Guman is home safe with her parents. In our courts, we watched gangster Modak take the stand, and we also witnessed the Vicky Tablanche alleged murderers point fingers at each other. Finally, the sex offenders register is open to the public, and we discover that 16,000 teachers have got charges or cases pending against them. We also learned that 1 in 5 kids under 12 has received unsolicited sexual advances online. It's a horror show, and we cannot switch channels. We have to do something about our children, guys. A woman from Vanderbijl sold her 2-year-old for 75,000 rand. She's also pregnant with twins. Please stop. The only good news that came out of South Africa this week is Dricus du Plessis won his fight. It's bittersweet because he is so thrilled by Trump and Farmgate that the win makes the joy temporary. Others might disagree, but this oak is not my cup of tea. I was warm into him, but now Hulle weet nie wat ek weet nie.
Black History Month.
Good.
Do you have a message for your African brothers?
What? What?
Because Black History Month.
So, what do you want me to say? Congratulations, happy Black History Month. That's around the message I have.
Let's try to find some respite across the waters. There are two favorite stories to cheer you up and keep you from becoming a statistic. The Danish have a petition to buy California, and there are currently 200,000 petitioners. Apparently, their reason is that they need a bit of sunshine and a warm sea. I love that story. Then Onija Robinson, our Pakistani touring American who was sent home to New York this week, her flight, courtesy of the Pakistani government, was to transit in Dubai. No trouble to Onija, she exited at Dubai airport and was seen on the streets chatting to Emirati people. She was a little grumpy, though, telling some man that she'd burn him with her cigarette. I'm not sure why, but to be fair, neither is Onija.
If you don't do something, I'm gonna burn your face. And let's see if you touch me out here in the street. I'm dead ass. I'm not playing. I swear to God. Make a decision.
Finally, she landed in New York yesterday afternoon, and we await the next episode. Here we go. Strap yourself in as we dive into Trumpet Musket Show, media's current headline act not to be missed. Trump said he would buy and own Gaza. Then later he said he wasn't going to buy it, he would be given it, a bit like a land grab, the very thing he is accusing South Africa of, except it comes with a plethora of bombs and dead babies. He told Netanyahu that he would move all Palestinians out of Gaza and they would not return. What does that sound like? I don't know. Ethnic cleansing, maybe? Last week, he said that Jordan and Egypt would take the forcibly removed Palestinians, and even though both countries pushed back, it was only a couple of days before King Abdullah of Jordan made his way to the Oval Office. I'm not a great fan of this man. I think he is a weak leader, but one thing we can say is that he is an eloquent speaker with great composure. In a live interview, I saw something so startling. The king had developed a tic. He was blinking uncontrollably in that chair next to Trump. He was really scared. He capitulated and said that he would take 2,000 sick Palestinian children. There was no mention of their families, just the sick kids.
I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in a very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible.
Rumors have it that Israel threatened Jordan's water supply, and when the king got back home, his office said that they would not take any other forcibly displaced Palestinians, and they would rather help to rebuild Gaza. Egypt stated categorically and without a blink of the eye that they would certainly not be taking Palestinians from their homeland, and they too would help rebuild. Egypt, incidentally, is the largest beneficiary of American aid. So that right there is courage, my friends. We will not be bullied. Then in Gaza, we saw Israel violate the ceasefire agreement repeatedly. There have been over 100 people killed during the time of the ceasefire. That's just in Gaza. And there are 1,000 dead in the West Bank, where there are no hostages and there is no Hamas. The last 3 Israeli hostages that were released were very thin, and this was apparently the reason Trump said the ceasefire would not last. Netanyahu literally starved a nation, and now he's surprised when the hostages are thin. So Trump calls an end to the ceasefire unless all hostages are returned by noon on Saturday. This was after Netanyahu left the Oval Office with $7.4 billion of funding for arms. Hamas, who had temporarily stopped the release of the hostages, came back to the table and confirmed the next set of hostages will be released as agreed. Hold your breath. Then we saw Elon and his mini-me enter the Oval Office, everyone suited and booted except for Musk, who had a baseball cap on and trainers. It seems there's no love lost between Trump and Mini Elonsky, who they call X. Elon's not very creative, is he? X this and X that. Anyway, while Daddy-O was rabbiting on about how he's made mistakes and people should check him, This after he was pressed about his condom faux pas with Gaza, Mozambique to the right of the, we saw to the right of the screen that Elon's kid was quietly threatening Trump. He sneered at the tangerine and said, "You're not the president," and "Shut your mouth."
And I think a significant part of this of presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Prices from one year to the next are the same, and they're.
Trump just stared at him, and for the first time I saw an old man inside that tangerine. Who are these people, guys? Are we living in a simulation? I mean, Trump literally came out and said that Ukraine could be Russia someday.
I want to have our money secured because we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars. And, you know, they may make a deal, they may not make a deal, they may be Russian someday, or they may not be Russian someday, but we're going to have all this money in there, and I say, I want it back.
This stuff is reserved for cinema, surely. There's so much international news. Kanye paid for one of the most expensive adverts for the Super Bowl, and he didn't have an advert. So he did a live stream telling people to go to his online store and buy his merch. Once you went to his store page, there was only one thing for sale, a t-shirt with a swastika on it. Don't make this up. Oh, and him and Bianca split for 5 minutes. And then this. Those two astronauts that were only meant to be in space for a week or so are finally scheduled to come home in March. I don't get that story. But then I also don't get that Trump signed an executive order to return plastic straws, or that he renamed Greenland to Red, White, and Blue Land. I'm grateful, though, that ChatGPT refused Elon's $97 billion that he offered in a tweet. And I'll tell you what else I'm grateful for. After this, I'm on holiday for a week. I'm on my way to see a man about a shark. He told me it's likely to be deep and dark. That's okay, I'm tough. I'm a media watcher. Happy Val Day. Stay safe. Don't be swayed. Raise your flag, and when in doubt, roll backwards off the boat. See you in a couple of weeks. I'm Tanya Curry. Thank you for scratching the surface with me and Acumen Media.